we need to find productivity improvements because there's going to be pushback against these high prices that consumers are paying at the moment. Our way to maintain profitability is via productivity.
We are here at the 25th anniversary celebrations of animal health and feed additives company Huvepharma, and this is taking place in Madrid, Spain. And we've just listened to a very fascinating presentation of Justin Sherrard. He is a global animal protein analyst, and he identified 5 different areas of opportunities for the animal protein sector in the future. And I'm just asking him to explain about which 5 he has identified. You highlighted 5 big areas of opportunities. How did you reach these?
Look, I'd like to tell you I have a supercomputer and I ran all sorts of multi-criteria analysis to come to it, but in actual fact, you know, I'm working around the world in all of these industries and visiting as often as I can. And I guess these are the things that when I take a step back and look at everything that's going on, and in particular look at the type of changes that I think we're going to have to face, this is where I see, this is my view, my judgment call on where I see the biggest areas of opportunity for us across the species and around the regions.
Well, let's go through all of them. You highlighted 5. The first one you mentioned was harnessing trade opportunities. Could you expand a little on that?
I think at the moment we're all concerned about tariffs and blockages of trade routes and what's going to happen in the Indo-Pacific region, etc. And actually we need to kind of relax a little bit. I don't want to suggest any of those are insignificant issues, but trade in animal protein needs to continue. Why? Exporters need it to get full valorisation of the carcass. Importers need it to make food affordable and available to growing numbers of consumers. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. So I say trade will continue, but we need to think differently about the relationship between exporter and importer. That's really where the opportunity is, because it's going to become less profitable for us if we're playing a transactional game. If we're playing a partnership game, a longer, slower sort of view, I think we're going to have more opportunity there than we'll see risk.
Okay. Number 2 you mentioned was maintaining consumer engagement with animal protein.
Yeah. We're in a special place right now. We've got high prices, not necessarily at the highest levels, but very good price levels and very good margins given where feeding costs, the biggest cost happens to be. So we're in a good place right now. My message is don't lose sight of the fact that, or don't take that for granted. Work hard to understand what consumers want, how they think about the food, that protein that they're consuming, what's going to keep them interested into the future. I don't want to be the bringer of bad news, but maybe these good times are not going to last forever. So the way to position ourselves, the way to think about this as an opportunity is to learn more about what consumers want. Consumers is such a broad term, right? And I also said, look, there are differences just at least in age ranges, generational differences in the way people think about food. That's part of understanding what they want. But let's keep them engaged. While we've got them engaged, they're open to understanding what we're doing, how we're doing it, and some of the trade-offs that we need to make in production.
I see, and that kind of leads to the third opportunity you already said, because, well, investing in product development.
Well, let's be very specific, new product development.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you think about the way that you're buying fresh poultry at the moment or fresh pork at the moment, you know, it actually hasn't changed very much over the last 10, 20 years. You know, plastic, clear plastic over the top of a tray, label with pricing information and very, very little information on there other than price. You know, those sorts of things haven't changed. Why are we not more adventurous? Why are we not seeking to get a better margin for the products that we're producing? as producers, it's not necessarily in our gift, but the question is, how do you add attributes around the production system into the product to make sure that you're getting a better price for it? We need better people in here doing it. In the protein industry, I think we haven't really brought those people in very big numbers. If you're in manufactured food, you're making cookies, you're making pasta, you're making other ready meals, etc. That's where the talent seems to be going over there. Meat, it's kind of just same old, same old. It shouldn't be. Consumers love what we're doing. Let's make it more interesting, more exciting for them, and better margin for us.
I see. Then the fourth one was building new data-driven supply chain models.
Yeah, so for me, Vincent, this is the most exciting area of opportunity. We are, in the animal part of agriculture, we are behind what's happening in the crops, in our uptake of use of data and digitalisation in general. We're behind what's happening in crops. Crops is behind what's happening in the rest of the food system and the rest of the economy as well. We are very cautious about what we're doing with data and how we're using data, and that caution has meant that we haven't stopped, but we've delayed entrepreneurs coming in to help us tackle problems. We need data to flow along supply chains to properly harness the potential that's there. I think we absolutely need to focus on productivity. We need to keep focusing on productivity, and data and digitalisation and new tools, artificial intelligence, generative AI more specifically, offer great potential, not without risk, but let's get in there and actually start to understand the trade-offs that we will have to make to be successful in this area.
Yep, and explore it indeed. And well, the fifth point also touches on a little bit, that is also in our business, the media. Yeah, well, the opportunity is for the industry to be more proactive, more be out there, express their own opinions and tell their own story, and that's something that the industry should do as well.
Yes, but I think it would be a mistake to construe my message as being towards you in the media.
No.
I actually think that you are the friend that we need to nurture. What we need to do is actually take collective responsibility for being better communicators. And what I said, and what I really believe, is that we are passive observers of our own story. Other people are telling the story of what happens in animal protein supply chains. It's rarely us within the industry. If we don't change that, things get harder, we lose the opportunities that we should be able to grasp, life becomes more expensive. Take as an example here in Europe, the EU deforestation regulation. An example of something which puts a cost on top of everyone involved with cattle, and yes, for a great goal, but you're adding cost in a way that I don't think measures up to the impact that you're going to have towards that goal. We've got to stop, we've got to become better communicators so that we stop bad regulation slowing us down and diverting us from the job of producing nutritious food and delivering it in meaningful ways to consumers.
We've discussed the 5 opportunities that you will see. We're seeing which one of the 5 do you think is the most important one of the 5?
The data-driven supply chains. At the moment, for me, the way in which artificial intelligence is sort of being swept up in other parts of the economy, I sense that there's a risk that we're going to get left behind and we may never catch up on that gap. We need to find productivity improvements, because there's going to be pushback against these high prices that consumers are paying at the moment. Our way to maintain profitability is via productivity. There's going to be that. There's a whole lot of talent which is mobilising at the moment on where the opportunities are in artificial intelligence. And we also need to face the reality that we struggle. We've struggled in the past, we will struggle more in the future to attract labour into our supply chains, whether that's on farm, whether that's in processing factories or facilities, or whether it's actually people managing supply chains, whether it's people, the smart people who are developing the best inputs. We need to use the tools that are available to us. AI is not a perfect solution by any means, and we need to be cautious about it, but let's engage to find out exactly what the opportunities look like.
Thank you very much for your detailed answers.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me along.